There are so many questions Jesus asked. He has such questions to drive home his points. Sometimes it might be about quality parenting. Sometimes it could be about profit, victory in warfare. For instance, he had asked, how many of you will have his child ask for a loaf of bread? Rather than giving him the loaf of bread, will give him stone? Of course, nobody will do that. Or your child asks for fish. You say, oh, take. You give your child live snake. Or your child is asking for an egg. And you reach out to a live scorpion. Jesus has that question. Which of us? Sometimes he will ask, which of you want to build a house? I will not first do some feasibility studies. How much will that cost me, the foundation and all that? Or you want to go and fight with another army without due consideration, whether you are able to overcome such? There are so many questions he has asked. Another time he asked, if I come back on earth, will I find faith? I mean, that should worry us. We should be bothered about that. Will I find faith when I come again? And he's coming back. But the one that is really worrisome is when he asked in Jupiter of us, when he asked me, when he asked you. Of course, he will want us to ponder on it and think about it. And that we should run with it when we are in the office, when we are at school, when we are in the church, when we are on pulpit. He wants us to run with it when we are at the marketplaces, when we are doing anything we are doing. The question is, what exactly will it profit a man? What is the reward of that man if he won or gained the entire world? If he gained the entire world, all the aeroplanes, all the schools, all the universities, the primary schools, all the banks, I mean, all financial institutions, all the glamour of this world, if he gained everything, if he gained all the titles, I mean, he has a lot of medals. Yes. He gained everything, anything money could buy, anything whatsoever. The glamour of this world, the comfort of this world. And he lost his soul. What would be the profit of that person? That was the question Jesus asked you and he asked me. What does that tell us? That thing we never appreciated, our soul, is priceless. Costlier than the entire world. Just like the builder might be as small as a broomstick, he has more honor than the building. What shall he profit a man if he gain the entire world, all the titles, all the academic titles, all the wealth, all the business and accolades, and lost his soul? My name is Christian Matthew. I am just pondering on what we do, what I do, what all of us do. pondering on jobs and job hazards, what would be our profit? About 13 years ago, I had a contact with a particular person who had challenge with his family. I never knew him from Adam. I never knew his wife from Adam as well, but she gave me a call. So I had to travel to the other state to talk to this man. He was really a big person in the ministry, and we got talking. After I had answered the query how I got to know him, of course I got to know him through his wife who made a call. And within 20 minutes we blended and haven't had warmth. And part of my counseling was to ask whether or not he had ever seen some soldiers who did not have ranks. And he said he has seen them. Can you see anything about them? If they are going to their offices or their beats, always in the truck, before you realize who they are, you start hearing the songs and beating on, all sorts of noise and everything around. You will have seen them. And before they got to where there is heavy traffic, 5 or 6 of them will jump down and begin to beat everybody around. Then they are clearing the way. And at the end of the day, they continue their journey. He said he has seen them. Sir, have you ever seen a highly ranked officer who was in that situation? Possibly he had a driver in the official car, and he got out, or he asked his driver to get out and begin to beat. He said he had never seen any. He was very correct. It's about ranking. The first example, there was nothing to the rank. They never had any ranks. So they are just themselves. But if you have a rank, you want to be very careful, because if the superior boss comes and finds you beating the civilians, he might derank you. And I quickly told him about my distant cousin, who was WO2. He messed around. He was flirting with the wife of a junior officer, and the superior officer heard about that case and deranked him from WO2 to sergeant. People that have been saluting him, he began to salute now. Why? Because of ranking. And when I asked him about the ranking, and you as the husband in the house, and you have closeness with the Lord, and you know that the Lord might not be happy with you if you are a terror or a terrorist at home. And he says, sir, that actually I understood. But there's something more serious. Do you know that what I am writing now, my superior will read it by tomorrow, and people will hail and clap for him? He said, but what I'm doing here is a lie. I am lying. Because people like to hear lies, and my superior also want me to write lies. Then I begin to write lies, and I was taken aback. He must sustain his job. I didn't say what. He said, so if I should die before I retire, I know I'm going to hell. And if Jesus comes before I retire, I know I'm going to hell. But if I retire before Jesus comes, or before I die, I know I'm going to make restitution. When you know the implication of what you are doing, it's just a matter of juxtaposing your heaven with your job, the glamour, and the praise and the appraiser you think you are getting. It's just a matter of put them side by side. I don't understand. How about Jesus saying, if your right eye is going to make you to go to hell, pluck it out. It is better you go to heaven with one eye than going to hell with two hands. If your right hand is going to cause a problem for you, why don't you cut it off? I mean, and he equally said that we should not be afraid of him that will only kill, but we should be afraid of him who will kill and throw into hell. Job hazard, if you have a job that makes you to tell lies, you are only saying that you are on your way to hell. Godliness with contentment is a great gain. Which one is weightier? Which one is more serious? Which one is more important? Your life, you're going to heaven, or your job? I mean, let's see what Joseph did. When Joseph was a slave, was not a servant. He was already bought. They can dictate whatever that will happen to him at that place. But he knew that the contract here with the boss is be the governor of my house. Exactly what he was doing. But when there was a different designation, which was unofficial, Joseph quickly reminded the woman, Madam, there is nobody greater in this house. Nobody has authority in this house. The boss had already given me authority. You see, but I am not going to touch you, and I'm not going to do anything harmful to him. And the woman said, you better do it. He said, it is not part of my agreement here. I am a slave, but not to be servicing my master's wife. And that was not his argument. His argument really was towards heaven. How can I do this great wickedness? He called it this great wickedness against the Lord. It's like saying, I have a contract with the Lord that I'm going to heaven. Why will I breach that? If you sustain your job by lies, you sustain your job by deception, you sustain your job by sleeping around, it's like you are saying that your job is more precious than your life. What shall he profit a man? The book of Matthew chapter 16, verse 26. What shall he profit that woman? What shall he profit that person who gained the entire world, have the entire certificate, and eventually lost his soul? I call it job hazards. We chose our jobs rather than choosing our lives. Whatever job you have that is pitching you towards hell, you have to remember that dear brother Lot, he saw the grasses were green and all that, and he chose that place. But he chose Sodom and Gomorrah. Guess what? Sodom and Gomorrah will be destroyed one day. What shall he profit that brother? What shall he profit that sister? He gained the entire world and he lost his soul. What is your gain? Do you know what Jesus is asking? What is your profit? You have invested so much, and at the end of the day, you spill everything up. What shall it profit you? Think about it. If you are in a church and church politics has robbed you of the presence of the Lord, of your commitment to the Lord, sometimes ago, the Lord whispered to my heart. I was on some 60 years ago, that a lot of people will have made heaven if they were just simple brother, simple sister. But they went into position of authority and they never had time to speak the truth, never had time for the Lord, they never have time for their growth. And I want to conclude by reminding you of Schambach. Schambach wrote a book some time ago, how a born-again, spirit-filled tongue talker can go to hell. He said, we will minister at night, minister powerfully in the name of the Lord, and miracles, deliverances, and he will get to his hotel room tired. You just say, Father in heaven, thank you for everything you did. Boom. And he will sleep. The following morning, they come to pick him from the hotel room. You go and minister to people, cancel them, and he was having ministers conference and all that. And from there, you will start the evening open air crusade, and he will preach and all that, and wonders will happen, and he will come back again at home and his hotel and he will sleep. He said he did that about a few times, and the Lord woke him up and said, Shambach, you don't have time for me again. You want to go to hell? And thank God for that man of God. He picked his pen. He wrote how a born-again, spirit-filled, tongue talker can go to hell. I mean, can you imagine the title of the book? Something like that. Think about it. What shall he profit that brother? Whatever you are doing that does not allow clean fellowship with your Lord, you have deadlines, all sorts of things, and you fear your master than God, even if your master is the junior brother of Jesus, but you fear him than the Lord. What are you doing about your heaven? You are the one. If that is your right eye, please pluck it out. It is better to go to heaven with one eye than going to hell with two eyes. Think about it, brother. Think about it, sister. Job hazards. It looks so fantastic, isn't it? When you have a fine car, fine house, fine family, but no fine relationship with the Lord. Think about it. It shall be well with all of us.